Breaking overnight, a highway in Texas City closed down after a deadly hit and run.
A lot of clouds to start us off on this Easter morning, but sunshine will return as we get into the afternoon.
And it is bluebonnet season in Texas. Where's your favorite spot? We sit down with an expert to talk all about the flowers that are now a Texas tradition. KHOU 11 Morning News starts now. But let's go across the pond now. Starting off in St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis celebrated Easter Sunday by leading a mass in Vatican City early this morning. The Pope also baptized 8 people at the service, including 1 American. Good morning. It is Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to those who celebrate. I'm Lauren Tellerico.
Welcome to the KHOU 11 Morning News. I'm Pat Kavlin in for Kim Castro.
It goes without saying there are a lot of Easter egg hunts planned this morning. How's that forecast?
So we're going to be dry. I know it looks like it might rain out there right now. A lot of clouds. You know, when I came into work this morning, it was clear, and now the clouds have come in all of a sudden. But we are going to see these clouds break apart over the next few hours. So just a couple hours here with some cloud coverage. But again, we do stay dry. Live look here from the Gulf Freeway. You can see, again, overcast skies kind of cutting off the tops of some of these buildings. 60 degrees right now. Feels like 60. Humidity is not too bad. There's a look at the temperatures across across Harris County and the surrounding areas. 55 for Sugar Land and Manville. 60 at Bush and Spring. 58 for Tomball. 62 out towards Webster. 64 on the island. 60 for El Campo. And 64 in Huntsville. So upper 50s and low 60s. A lot of clouds out there right now. We will see more sunshine though as we get into the afternoon. And we do stay dry today. We'll stay dry for the most part tomorrow, but I think as we get into Tuesday, we'll be tracking another chance for a couple of showers. As that wild card in the forecast, this storm system, latest model runs now bring it a little farther to the west. We'll talk about what it could mean for the forecast when I see you again in just a few minutes. Lauren?
Pat, thank you. This morning, all eastbound lanes of FM 1764 in Texas City were closed after a fatal hit and run. Police are now looking for the driver. The crash happened around 3:30 this morning near State Highway 3. Police say the driver of an unknown vehicle hit a cyclist and then took off. Anyone with information about this crash should call Texas City Police. And in Houston, another pedestrian fatality, this one on I-45 North near Telephone Road. Police say video shows a man walking back and forth on the highway in the main lanes when a driver hit and killed him. Police say that driver did try to stop but just could not. A decision made right here in Texas could impact millions of women nationwide if it goes into effect less than 1 week from now. We are talking about the FDA approval of the abortion pill, mifepristone. We know legal battles get very confusing. Okay, so here's the timeline of everything that went down this weekend. Friday, a Texas federal judge released a 67-page opinion on Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine, the FDA, halting the approval. Then late Friday night, 2 things happened. First, a federal judge in Washington state issued a conflicting opinion ordering that the abortion medication should stay on the market. At the same time, the Biden administration filed a notice of appeal against the Texas judge's opinion. All of this sets up a high-stakes legal showdown likely to land before the U.S. Supreme Court. Here's Skylar Henry.
Federal Judge Matthew Kaczmarek ordered a hold on federal approval of mifepristone, the most commonly used abortion drug. The Biden administration says the controversial ruling eliminates basic freedoms for women, putting their health at risk.
It is contrary to what makes for good public health policy to allow courts and politicians to tell the FDA what it should do.
The judge, appointed by President Trump, issued a 67-page opinion asserting the FDA's approval 23 years ago violated a federal rule because the drug wasn't properly tested. The ruling could limit abortion access even for women in states where the procedure is legal. Anti-abortion rights advocates are pleased with the decision.
We are encouraged that the federal judiciary is finally taking a look at the approval of mifepristone and really holding the FDA to account.
Federal Judge Thomas Rice, appointed by President Obama, blocked the FDA from making any changes to mifepristone's availability in 17 Democrat-led states and Washington, D.C. that sued to expand access. Mifepristone is one of 2 approved pills used in more than half of legal abortions in the country. The outcome in this case may undermine the FDA approval process, setting a damaging precedent.
He is holding mifepristone to a standard higher than any other drug is really being held to.
Now, the Texas ruling will not go into effect for at least another 7 days. Regardless of what happens in this case in the appeal or Supreme Court, women can still order mifepristone online with a prescription, even in states where surgical abortions are restricted. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Now to a developing story overnight. At least 4 people were shot, including 2 in their teens, according to Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. It happened at an apartment complex on Uvalde Road near Freeport Street. This is in East Houston. We're told the group was at a celebration of life when the shooting happened at about 7 p.m.
We expect that there's going to be multiple shooters as based on the type of shell casings, multiple types of shell casings that have been recovered already. So we can't say how many people specifically were discharging firearms, but we do know that as a result of the forensic evidence that we've seen thus far, probably multiple shooters, yes.
No word yet on suspects or a motive. All 4 victims are expected to survive. A man who spent years in prison for murder he didn't commit is now charged with a new deadly shooting. And late last night, a judge set Lydell Grant's bond at $1 million for that crime. Zach Tabatari breaks down what we know about the case.
Never give up. Those were the words of then 44-year-old Lydell Grant nearly 2 years ago after being let out of prison. Grant was wrongfully accused in the 2010 stabbing death of Aaron Shearhorn outside a Montrose bar. 6 eyewitnesses testified against him, and Grant was convicted in 2012. In 2019, Grant was released on bond after the nonprofit Innocence Project of Texas got new DNA testing that separated the victim's DNA from the killer's. Police then arrested another man in Georgia who confessed to the killing. And in 2021, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals declared Grant actually innocent. But fast forward to this past Thursday. The now 46-year-old Grant is accused of getting out of his Lexus and firing at least 5 times into a Toyota. Police say it started as a minor fender bender and the accident was Grant's fault. On Friday, KHOU was at the home where Grant was arrested. Sherman Chow spoke exclusively with a property owner who didn't want to be identified, but says Grant and his girlfriend stayed there.
They arrested him and they took his girlfriend, and so I talked to the sergeant. He said that they're in custody already.
That was Zach Tabatari reporting. We did reach out to the Innocence Project for comment, and their statement says, in part, "We are saddened by the news of this tragic event, and our thoughts and sympathies go out to the victim's family. We stand behind Mr. Grant's previous exoneration. DNA evidence and the confession of the real perpetrator of the crime proved Mr. Grant's actual innocence. His 2012 conviction was proven wrongful, and he spent 8 years in prison as a result." Across Texas, Governor Greg Abbott says he will work to pardon an Army sergeant who was convicted in the shooting death of a protester. It happened during a Black Lives Matter demonstration in Austin. A Travis County jury on Friday convicted Daniel Perry of murder. He shot Air Force veteran Garrett Foster, who is white, 5 times during a protest in 2020. Perry was driving for Uber when he encountered Foster and other protesters in downtown Austin. Perry claims he opened fire in self-defense because Foster was carrying an AK-47 rifle. But prosecutors argued Perry could have just driven his car away. In a tweet this weekend, Governor Abbott said, quote, "I am working as swiftly as Texas law allows regarding the pardon of Sergeant Perry." He added that Texas has one of the strongest stand your guard laws of self-defense that cannot be nullified by a jury or a progressive attorney. The governor's response to the case came less than 24 hours after Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson tweeted this. Apparently, the state of Texas no longer recognizes the right of self-defense. Carlson also spoke about it on his TV show, telling viewers he had invited Abbott to appear on the show on Monday to ask if he was considering a pardon. We will keep you posted on that story. Police say an active shooter call at the University of Oklahoma campus in Norman may have been a hoax. We told you about this story as breaking news on Friday night. It started around 9:30. Hundreds of officers from several agencies responded to a shots fired call at the campus library. No victims or evidence of shots fired were ever found. The governor's office said local, state, and federal law enforcement are working to identify the cell phones used to call in that active shooter threat. Just into our newsroom, Tiger Woods is out. The 15-time champ withdrew from the 2023 Masters early this morning. His team says it's because of an injury, although they did not give any details. Tiger Woods barely scraped by yesterday, finishing 54th, dead last out of all the golfers who moved on to the next round. A blanket of blue is starting to cover Texas fields. It is bluebonnet season, a time to bask in their beauty and snap pics for social media. Our photojournalist Manuel Villela takes a closer look at the history behind our state flower with expert Barney Lipscomb.
You know, the Texas bluebonnet was first described in 1836. That's the same year Texas gained its independence, I believe. The bluebonnet name sort of mimics the idea of early pioneer women who wore bonnets around their head to protect them from the sun. And when you look at the bluebonnet flower closer, it looks like a bonnet, and hence the common name bluebonnet. So bluebonnets have been around for a long time. In fact, in Texas, there are now about 7 different species of bluebonnets. Well, the Texas bluebonnet belongs to the bean family, to the Fabaceae family, and it's a pretty special, unique flower. A Scottish botanist was here. He was one of the early naturalists who made his way to Texas. The prairies were ablaze with this color, and Thomas Drummond, this Scottish botanist, collected the Texas bluebonnet. We're looking at herbarium specimens of the Texas bluebonnet here in the Britt Herbarium. One of these specimens was collected in 2022. The other specimen was collected in 1874, which means this specimen in the herbarium is 149 years old. When Texas bluebonnet was described in 1836, little did we know that less than 100 years later, Texas bluebonnets would be named the state flower of Texas. In 1901 was when the Texas bluebonnet was named the state flower of Texas, but it was one species. And it wasn't even this one that we're looking at here. It was another species that's more central Texas in the hill country. But then that was all settled by the Texas legislature in 1971 when they said all Texas bluebonnets, now or forever discovered in the future, would be considered the state flower of Texas. They're so abundant on the roadside. They're so abundant in the fields, and they are stunning. They catch your eye. When you're driving along the highway and you see the Texas bluebonnet, just think of a Texas icon, a Texas beauty, a Texas natural, one that has been with us for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Ooh, gotta love those bluebonnets. They are so beautiful. And I know, oh, there you, and Pat,
I'm in a field of them right now.
Amongst them.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I know, I love this time of year because there are so many cute pictures of kids and animals in the bluebonnets, especially around Easter with their little Easter dresses.
They're super photogenic,
hats.
Especially when you're not getting a lot of blue sky this time of year with all the cloud coverage. It's nice to see some blue, at least on the ground, with these flowers. So happy Easter, everybody. Today's forecast looks okay. We'll see a mix of sun and clouds. A lot of clouds out there right now. It was clear overnight, and then just before sunrise, all of these clouds just kind of popped up out of nowhere. So we'll see if we can shake them by the afternoon. Upper 70s, though, we are going to be dry despite the cloud coverage. Live look here from Hobby. Temperatures really comfortable this morning, mid-50s in Sugar Land. Otherwise, though, low 60s elsewhere. If you're watching the Masters today, weather has been a big player in this game over the last few days. We showed you video yesterday of one of the trees falling on the course. As we get into the rest of the day today, temperatures in Augusta, Georgia, warming from the 40s into the 60s. We are going to be dry. In fact, we'll see more sunshine as the day goes on. Hopefully today is the final round. Hopefully there's no other weather delays. It will be breezy though. Winds will be pretty persistent out of the northeast between 15 and 20 miles per hour. Here at home though, it's quiet. No wind really to contend with, no rain despite the cloud coverage. We are pretty quiet here across the state. Notice this feature though up in the Panhandle. That's going to be something that could bring us a shower chance as we get into the beginning part of the upcoming week. So there's the cloud coverage out there right now. Future track actually keeps it around here through the middle part of the day, but notice we are dry, no green showing up, which would indicate any rain. Future track does start to clear the clouds later this evening. I think, hopefully we can get them out of here before that. Either way, though, again, it's a dry day with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Tomorrow morning, we start with a mix of sun and clouds. I think we see a mix of sun and clouds through the course of the afternoon. Tomorrow, temperatures in the mid 70s. And then as we get into Tuesday, we'll start with sunshine and then maybe a couple of downpours and thunderstorms, mainly from the city west. This is for Tuesday afternoon. I think areas east of the city are dry, but to the west we could see about a 30 to 40% shower chance. And again, that's just for areas to the west of the city here. So we're dry for today and tomorrow. 30% shower and storm chance Tuesday, down to a 20% chance on Wednesday, and then we're dry as we get into the end of the week. So it's this little feature that comes in from the Panhandle that'll bring us that isolated shower chance for Tuesday, for Wednesday. Watch this though, we talked about this yesterday. This feature will actually develop into a low pressure system here as we get into the day on Thursday. And this could be a wild card in our forecast. If it's far enough towards the east, we actually may work in some dry weather, but if it actually moves up the Louisiana coastline, we could see a better chance for rain. Either way, we'll have to keep an eye on it. There's the 7-day forecast. Obviously, I forgot to change the placement of Easter, which is today. So happy Easter, everybody. Upper 70s today, mid 70s for tomorrow. Scattered showers and storms possible mainly to the west of the city as we get into Tuesday. Just an isolated chance on Wednesday. And then we're back into the 80s by the end of the week, tracking the chance for another cold front as we get into Friday and Saturday. So not a terrible forecast. I think that storm system, though, in the Gulf of Mexico, that's going to be our wild card. Is it far enough west that we get rain chances for the middle of the week, or does it stay to the east?
So we will be paying attention to the forecast either way.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge player in the forecast,
That's
but it
good.
could mean the difference between sunshine and kind of unsettled weather.
Yeah, I think we need some sunshine. Favorite Easter candy, Pat?
Put me on the spot. Jelly beans, I guess, because they're unique to Easter. It's not my favorite candy, but it's my favorite Easter candy.
Okay. Do you ever eat Peeps?
Yeah, I like Peeps. Yeah? I know that's pretty controversial.
You do like Peeps? I have never met one person who actually likes Peeps.
I don't mind them. They're not my favorite, but I like them.
Yeah. I always want to like them because they look good.
If you put a Peep in front of me, I'll eat it. So
I'll have to try that. It is Easter Sunday. Easter is just beginning here in the United States, but let's get to the top 3 celebrations from around the world today. Starting with number 3 in Seoul. Early this morning, Koreans gathered to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus with a Christian cultural festival. We're told the crowd was filled with thousands of people from more than 50 religious groups. Now to Jerusalem for number 2. Christian worshipers from across the world gather to celebrate. The church that you're seeing on the screen is the traditional site of Jesus' crucifixion, burial, and resurrection. And number 1, the celebration inside Vatican City. Tens of thousands of people filled St. Peter's Square for Easter Sunday. Right now, Pope Francis is recovering from bronchitis, but he was able to be there. Of course, there'll be plenty of events happening around locally too, including Bunnies on the Bayou in downtown. So I hope you enjoy your Easter Sunday. Get out there, do something nice. The weather is looking okay for it. Thanks for spending some time with us. Yeah, that's good news. I'm Lauren Tellerico.
I'm Pat Catlin. Have a great day and happy Easter.